Okay, I want to thank everyone for joining me here tonight for the XYZ e-commerce website build out progress update. That's a lengthy title, but we're going to go over the status of the XYZ e-commerce website. We just finished the analysis phase of this project. So I'll go over some key things that are important to keep in mind for everybody and basically how the project is going and some updates for the next phase that we're going into. At this point, I'm going to give people a little bit of time to settle in while I go over the agenda. If there's anyone that you notice that should be in attendance for this meeting, please feel free to go ahead and shoot them the link for this meeting. And there's no waiting room, so they can just pop in. I'll go over the agenda really quickly, and then at the end, I'll open it up for questions, answers, concerns from anyone, and then that'll give everybody a chance who joined late to have any questions answered that they might have missed. And yeah, let's go ahead and get started. All right, so first, what this meeting is going to look like tonight, we're going to go over the current phase that we just finished, which is the analysis phase. After that, we're going to go into the budget of the project. We'll just do a quick review of what the budget looks like, the planned budget, and then what our actual costs are looking like at this stage. After that, we'll go over the schedule and then the timeline for the project completion. Third, we'll go over any mitigation plans that are in place for any risks that we have planned for or any risks that we anticipate happening. And then finally, the last 5 minutes or so of the meeting are going to be for question, answers, any concerns. Anyone who joined late, no worries at all. We'll just go over a few things. If you have any questions, don't be afraid to ask. But yeah, so that's what it's going to look like tonight. Really quickly, to give everyone a high-level overview of where we are in the project currently, we have just completed the analysis phase, which is the first phase of the project, and we are going into the design phase. At this point in the project, we are actually under budget and a week ahead of schedule, which is great to hear. I know that at the beginning of the project that we were pretty concerned about whether or not we were going to go over the 6 months that were allotted for this project. But right now it looks like we're ahead of schedule and we're ahead of budget. So going over numbers first, because those are the most important things. I've included 4 key metrics that I have been tracking to make sure that we're evaluating project progress in the right way. So to start off with the most important numbers, we are currently at $14,866 for this phase of the project. So those are the actual costs that we incurred for completing this phase. And we are $74,496 away from our completed budget. So that's what we think, or that's what I believe that we are going to be at. That's our estimate for what the budget is going to look like at the end of the project. So that's about 44% under what our projected costs were, which is phenomenal. That's great. For this phase of the project, we are 4% under what our budgeted cost was going to be, which was $15,595. And then that's about 20% of the total project. But the wonderful thing at this point as well is that we are 41% over the planned value for this project. So with the amount of time that we have spent on this part of the project, the amount of resources that we spent, and the actual costs, we are at $26,669 from earned value from all the work that we've done at this point in the project. Now, what does that mean? That means that with all of the resources that we've expended at this point in the project, that means we've actually been able to see or realize a value of $26,000 by getting this phase completed a little bit ahead of schedule and using less hours than projected. So actually, I'm going to go back really quickly for just to detail how we got these numbers. So the how we got a $26,669. Because a few people had asked me how I've figured out how we've earned that value. The $26,000 figure there is from how much we ended up not utilizing hours and basically how much cost we did not incur from the first phase. So since our planned value for the analysis phase was $15,595, we were able to actually do the first phase for $11,000 less. And we were able to use I believe it was 11.5 or 12 hours less than what we allotted ourselves to use for that first phase. And then cutting down on those two numbers enabled us to realize $26,000 from that first, $26,700 from that first phase, which is really, really great. So what we're looking like for the schedule for the rest of the project. We have just finished the analysis phase, and what we did in the analysis phase basically was setting the groundwork for what the design phase is going to require of us. So the first few things that we did, the first 2 days of the project, we did the planning, just basically making sure that we had our registration, hosting set up, that we made sure that we had a wireframe, our hosting situation was set up. We had a registered website, and basically all of the groundwork for the website to be hosted was taken care of during that phase. So that's the planning phase. Then we worked on the layout and the prototype of the website to make sure that we knew exactly how the website was going to be laid out. And then third, we went into content preparation. So we worked with marketing, made sure that we had all the correct copy and that everything that was going to be on the website, logos, any type of jargon, phrases, anything that had to do with product names, just getting down to the nitty-gritty of everything that was going to be listed on the website was done in content preparation. So just getting that copy ready, working with marketing to get that copy ready. And then content integration happened with web design and, web design, and that happened with our web developers as well. The next phase that we're going into is the design phase, and this is the where we're going to be designing the components for the website. So this looks pretty short. This looks like a pretty small work package. It actually is not. This is going to be the longest, the second longest phase in the project that we have. It's going to come in at about 28 days long, and this phase is going to include designing the website, making sure that all of the copy, jargon, any type of wording, brand, color, scheme, fonts, every thing that you could think of when you look at a website is going to be taken care of in this phase. Also in this phase is going to be making sure that everything that we need to display on the website is actually going to integrate with the layout of the website properly. So this is going to be a pretty long phase coming in at 28 days. The second longest one, or the first longest, is going to be actually the build phase. It's going to be 15 days at the end of build functionalities here, and then 15 days at the beginning of technical usability. So that is going to be coming in at 30 days. And then I believe the third longest phase is going to be at delivery. That is just going to be us testing the website, customer training and education. It's going to be test phase and delivery, which are the third longest, but for the most part, we're almost out of the woods in terms of how long everything is going to take in the design phase and the build phase. Right, so for risks and mitigation, we have three major risks that we identified at the beginning of the project and that were planned for at the beginning as well. This was first being staff changes and training time. So that it means any type of unexpected leave from a staff member, and then the actual training time that's going to be incurred from their departure. So that's something that we're always prepared for. We believe that it'll probably take anywhere from 2 days to a week maximum to get anyone up to speed. Since ABC has a staff that is familiar with the project somewhat, that makes things a lot easier and makes it that lead time, that lead time for updating an employee or a new employee not as long. But again, that's something that we do have to keep in mind, even though we are 7 days ahead in the project. Always something to keep in mind that we might incur like an unexpected leave of absence from anyone. Wide area network and local area network outages or instability. At this phase in the project, we have not encountered any issues with the wide area network and the local area network being unstable. We are keeping an eye out for it. We have a contingency plan in place at this point but it seems like all the updates that are being made to those networks are almost finished, and that's not something that we're going to have to worry about going forward. But again, something to keep in mind when for any further project updates, or if anything happens with the wide area network or the local area network, then we already know that that's something that we have a plan for. All right, and then security breaches. Again, this is something that hasn't happened, like everything else in all the other risks that I mentioned before. But security breaches are definitely something we want to keep in mind. Since we're building out this website and we are putting in confidential and privileged information, as well as creating functionality for our clients to be able to go onto this website and order things and put in their personal and company information, we always want to make sure that we are first and foremost keeping in mind our security and making sure that we are aware of what will happen in the instance of a security breach, which I actually have a plan in the project management plan that outlines what the risk and response time is for that, and that is less than 2 hours in terms of getting the website down. But I'll go ahead and forward that information to you as an attachment to this presentation. All right, so a quick summary of where we are at this point, and what I just went over. So right now we are ahead of the schedule and budget. We're ahead of the schedule by 1 week, and we are ahead of the budget by 4% at this phase. The next phase that we're going into is going to be the design phase, which I'm very, very excited about. It'll be able to give everyone a look at what we have worked on, what the team has worked on so hard, and then also give everyone an idea of what their new website is going to look like, as well as give them a chance to give some input back onto the design of the website and how your customers are going to be using it. And then third, just any asks that I have from the stakeholders and from the team. Anyone that's involved in the project, I encourage everyone to feel free to give their input when the time comes about the design and evaluating the design, and just really being honest about how the website looks, if it looks on brand. The more input that we have in terms of usability is really, really helpful, whether or not we need to make those changes or not, if those changes need to be approved, or if we can or can't make them happen. It's incredibly helpful to have that information from everyone's perspective, from different perspectives, from different departments in the corporation that may not necessarily be using this website, or it may not be something that they ever need their clients to use. But it's really great and helpful to get a bunch of eyes on it and provide your input. So I appreciate that going forward. Please be honest. And let's see. So it looks like we have, let's see where I'm at right now. So we are just over 15 minutes for this presentation. I'm going to open up the floor now for any questions or concerns about anything that I just went over. Again, what I went over just really quick are the budget at the beginning. We went over the schedule a little bit after that, any risks, and then mitigation plans. And then, yeah, so feedback is I guess that's something I haven't gone over yet, but feedback is the next section. Let's see. I'm going to go ahead and unmute everybody, and I will go ahead and call on Zoe.
Are there any potential showstoppers? If so, how are those being managed, and how can the executive team unblock them?
Awesome. Thank you, Zoe. I appreciate that question. So if anyone had trouble hearing really quickly, Zoe asked if there were any potential showstoppers, and if are there any plans to mitigate those showstoppers. And then finally, is there anything that we can ask for the executive team help on with these showstoppers? So I would say that right now, no showstoppers that we know of. I do not think, and I've gotten advice from our consultant as well as from our senior web designer, that the wide area network and local area network are not going to be a showstopper for this project at all. In terms of needing help with anything preemptively, just would like to ask for patience. Just be open with anything that is going to be impacting you if those outages do occur, and be honest. And then also, I guess that's pretty much it. Just be patient, honest, and know that we're working our best to get everything online, back online, and make sure that we're not going to have any issues with client orders. All right, really quickly, I'm going to go to Malcolm. Malcolm, you're on.
Thanks again, Joanna, for this update. I have a quick question. Can you provide some info on how you're tracking the measurable objectives defined in the project charter?
Okay, awesome. Thank you, Malcolm. So Malcolm asked if we had any, if I was tracking any, I think you said if I was tracking any project objectives that were outlined in the project charter, and the answer to that is yes. So the major one that I'm using to identify where we are at in this project currently is going to be the budget. And what I use for that is earned value management, which is basically just stacking up actual costs, planned costs against actual costs and planned costs against each other. So it's a variety of algorithms and equations that I will actually have the breakdown and I will forward that to you. It's very lengthy. And if you have any questions about any of the numbers on there, any of the formulas and how I got that information, feel free to shoot me an email. But that will be attached in the presentation notes that I will send out shortly after this. So to answer that really quickly again, we're using earned value management to account for how the project is doing. We're keeping an eye on actual hours versus scheduled hours. We're keeping an eye on where the budget is, the actual cost versus planned costs. And then we're also keeping an eye on the schedule performance index and the cost performance index. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and call on Elizabeth.
Joanna, could you remind us how many budgeted hours have been used to date?
All right, awesome. Thank you, Elizabeth. How many budgeted hours have been used to date? That's from Elizabeth. I would like to let everyone know that we are currently at 264 hours to date. That is 11 hours under our budget. All right, and really quickly from Elizabeth again.
Wonderful. And how many will be needed to complete the project?
Budgeted hours to complete the project, it looks like it's going to be coming in at, hold on one second. $275 for that previous phase, so 11 hours under. All right, and then I'm going to take one last question, and I think that that's all we have time for tonight. All right, Lee, that's you.
Thanks so much, Joanna, for putting this together. I think I speak for all of us when I say we are confident in where your leadership is taking the team and how successful this will be for this company. Looking forward to the next update.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Lee. I appreciate everyone giving their time tonight for this update. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to reach me. I'll be sending that update and the presentation notes shortly along. All right, bye-bye.